does that also refer to the chief? It's
Mr. Chair.
a particular individual.
But the other members of the Supreme Court who received some death threats one time or another did not ask for a luxurious vehicle with protection because probably they know that this is part of their duty as dispensers of justice. Is that correct, Mr. Justice?
For additional security, Your Honor.
Not a vehicle, a protected vehicle.
I'm not too sure because with additional security, you need an additional vehicle. Maybe not a luxurious one.
Mr. Chair.
Deputy Majority Leader Bundok.
With the indulgence po ng aking pong magulang, the Honorable Marcoleta. Tanong ko lang po, inaayon ko lang po sa usapin kanina. Tanungin ko lang po ang ating kagalang-galang na Justice Mardel Castillo. Ang luxury vehicle nga ho, para sa 4 na opisyal na matataas, ang Presidente po, Senate President, Speaker of the House of Representatives, pati na po ang Chief Justice, under Administrative Order number 233, pwede naman pong bumili ng luxury vehicle para sa mga ito, hindi po ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ayun. So, ayon po sa Administrative Order na yan, pwede naman pong bumili ng luxury vehicle. At yun po ay ginawa ng Chief Justice. Bumili po ng Land Cruiser halagang 5 milyon, bulletproofing, additional pong 5 milyon po ata. Halos 10 milyon, Mr. Chairman. Ngayon, binabalik ko lang po sa usapin kanina. Tungkol po sa survivorship benefits, inaasahan po ng mga nabiyuda na atin pong mga mahistrado. Sabi nga po ni Justice Teresita de Castro, tatanungin ko po siya uli. Tuwing tatanungin niyo po ang Chief Justice tungkol po sa survivorship benefits ng mga biyuda ng Yumaong West, ang sasagutin niya po ito kailangan mapadala sa isang special committee para makita ang buong pinansyal na kalagayan at magkaroon ng pag-aaral tungkol sa magandang pinansyal na posisyon para sa Supreme Court. Ganun po ba?
Ganun ho yung intindi ko. Minsan hindi naman siya sumasagot. Tahimik lang siya.
Opo, kasi pinagtatakaan ko ho, doon po sa dapat tanggapin ng yumaong byuda, kailangan pag-aralan pa ng 2 taon ang pinansyal na posisyon na maganda ng Korte Suprema. Pero pag bibili ng luxury vehicle na pansarili, dahil meron naman palang administrative order na nagbibigay ng pagkakataon na ito, ay napakabilis bumili ng isang napakamahal na sasakyan at lalagyan pa ng bulletproofing. Ito po kasing complaint ni Atty. Gadon, hindi natin kinukuha na isa't isa, kundi nagbibigay sa atin ng larawan sa pag-iisip ng taong titignan ng committee ito kung karapat dapat magpatuloy bilang Chief Justice. So yun ang nakikita ko po sa daloy ng usapin kanina. Survivorship na kailangan ng yumaong, ng pamilya ng yumaong maestrado, nagtagal, 2 taon, pinag-aaralan pa raw, pero dahil naman merong administrative order, 233, pwedeng bumili ng Land Cruiser na luxurious vehicle, pwedeng ipa-bulletproof. Yun lang naman po, Mr. Chair.
The point of information, paragraph 130 of the verified answer of the Chief Justice, she alleged, and in fact, she admitted that the purchase of a service vehicle for her, quote, for security reasons, unquote. The problem is while Justice Del Castillo has been talking about bulletproofing, no such bulletproofing took place. And a Land Cruiser, unless bulletproofed, cannot be purchased for security reasons. Yun lang po.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Okay. Interjection.
Interjection with deference to the Honorable Marcoleta, if I may interject. And
With the permission of the Honorable Marcoleta.
I guess.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you po. Justice Del Castillo, good morning po ulit. Sumingit po ako kanina pero hindi po ako bumati ng tama.
Good morning.
Good morning po. You did mention po kanina na 2 taon nang nasa budget. Tama po ba ako? Kung tama yung pagkarinig ko, 2 o 3 taon na nasa budget yan before the purchase did go on?
the purchase of the security vehicle of the chief was included already in our 2014 annual procurement plan. And since it did not push through, again, it appeared in our 2015 procurement plan.
And
it did not push through again, and then it showed up in our 2016 procurement plan.
So, medyo matagal nang nasa budget ninyo, matagal nang napag-isipan, dapat may security vehicle si Chief Justice sa plano. Pero due to circumstances, it took 2 or maybe almost 3 years before natuloy po. Tama po ba yung...
That's correct, Your Honor.
Yes, sir. Tanong ko lang po uli, yung vehicle na yun ba, pag binili, na kaninong pangalan? Pupunta, kanino mare-register yung vehicle na yun?
The Supreme Court.
The Supreme Court. So, ibig sabihin po, pag nawala po si Chief Justice, assuming na mawala ho si Chief Justice ngayon, kanino ho pupunta yung sasakyan na yan?
Choice ho yan ng kung sino papalit sa kanya, if ever.
So hindi sa kanya yan. It's essentially pag-aari ng...
Yes, Your Honor. Just like our service vehicles, they're not in our names. It's in the name of the Supreme Court.
Okay. Sir, if tama rin po pagkaintindi ko, may resolution and bank saying na okay yung pagbili nitong vehicle na to. Tama po ba?
As I mentioned, Your Honor, the bank approved this already.
The bank approved this. And in anywhere during the process, meron ho bang nakitang may anybody who raised any irregularities or illegalities dito sa buong process na to?
You mean a member of the bank, Your Honor?
A member of the bank or the member of the bids committee or meron po ba?
None from the bank, and it couldn't be from the bids and awards committee because they're the ones who recommended the purchase of this vehicle, Your Honor.
Yes, sir. So, and kayo po, as I understand it po, kayo yung sort of member in charge. Wala po kayong nakita?
Wala po.
Okay. Tanong ko lang, sir. Is it common for Justice of the Supreme Court to cite his or her preference ng vehicle na ipopurchase na ma-assign sa kanya?
That prerogative is not exclusive to the Chief Justice. We are also asked, if for instance kami na ngayon ang mabibigyan ng service vehicle, tinatanong din naman kami ano ba gusto nyo? Camry, Fortuner, ganyan din So, we are also asked. Kasi kami gagamit ng vehicle
So,
there was one time when Justice Art Brion even asked for an Altis.
Okay, pero at what stage po na okay yon? Na, how am I trying to say, how do I put this? Pagdating ho sa bids, hindi ka na pwede mag-specify. Tama po ba? Tama,
Your Honor, our technical people from the bids they're here, Your Honor. I understand DCA Tan Mabahaya is here.
Okay.
Maybe she can answer that question, Your Honor.
In that case, Justice, kasi po nagmamadali. Mamaya ko na lang po sila itatanong para nakafocus po sa inyo. Thank you very much. I'll reserve the questions later then. Thank you very much po.
Before
May I continue?
the Honorable Marcoleta will proceed with his interpellation, the Chair acknowledges the attendance of Representative Romualdo and Representative Ibarreta. You may go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Honorable Marcoleta.
Justice, there was also an earlier testimony before this committee that in relation to the purchase of the Toyota Land Cruiser, its specification was predetermined even before the bank was able to determine the procurement of that vehicle. And there was a testimony that that was not regular because you cannot procure a predetermined vehicle. Who specified this vehicle in the first place? It's a Toyota Land Cruiser and not other vehicle.
I wouldn't know, Your Honor.
Through the mechanism, would you know who in the Supreme Court would be in a position to specify? Did the Chief Justice specify the particular vehicle?
I understand from DCA Terma Bahia that he got in touch with a staff of the Chief Justice, and I think that was when she found out of the preference, the vehicle preferred by the chief.
So, is it correct to assume that the vehicle was actually purchased because it really came from the Chief Justice herself, and this is the preferred vehicle?
Your Honor, I wouldn't know that because it was DCA Bahia who was doing all the processing of this, the purchase of this service vehicle for the chief, and she was the one in touch with the office. I had no role there, Your Honor.
But you would be in a position to have asked that, Mr. Justice, because you were the justice in charge of the procurement of this vehicle. You would have asked if this vehicle was preferred by the Chief Justice herself. Isn't that correct?
Your Honor, as far as I'm concerned, so this case was raffled to me. The rollo was given to me. I went over the rollo. As I mentioned, there was publication, posting, and all that. I took a look at the report and recommendation of DCA Terma Bahia on the matter. I found the procurement process in order. So, and then plus the law allowing this exemption to the chief. So, in other words, there was just no legal basis for me to deny the recommendation of DCA Bahia, and so I recommended I pass it on to the court.
So what we are asking just is that there was an earlier testimony here, and the official or the employee who testified from the Supreme Court said that it was pre-specified, and so it was illegal to specify a predetermined name or brand of vehicle to be acted upon by the bank. This is the whole issue.
But I'm not aware of that, Your Honor. At the time that I passed this on to the bank, I was not aware until I heard her testify here that there was already, it was a predetermined model. I didn't know that.
Not that you became aware of it, and now we are trying to discuss this, that it was a predetermined vehicle that passed the bank. And as an approving official, would you concur with the observation of this committee that if that has been the case, the purchase of that vehicle is irregular, Mr. Justice?
It would look that way, Your Honor.
Okay. And considering that the testimony made by Justice De Castro that there has not been any history in the past, that no Chief Justice in the past prior to present Chief Justice availed of such a luxurious vehicle, would you allow us also to form a conclusion that this has been an action of indiscretion on the part of the Chief Justice, considering the postulate in the Constitution that every public official should leave motives? Would you allow that to us to form a
Your Honor, that's a conclusion to make, Your Honor.
Yes. And we are in a position to make precisely that kind of conclusion.
You have that mandate, Your Honor.
Yes, sir. Justice Castillo, we will take advantage of your presence also, because earlier there was also a testimony in relation to the procurement of an IT consultant by the name of Ms. Makasayat. The impeachment complaint charges the Respondent Chief Justice that she unilaterally hired Ms. Makasayat. But she said that it's not just the office of the Chief Justice, it was the Supreme Court who hired, or which hired Ms. Makasait. When I asked the other officers of the Supreme Court who were in the process of hiring, like the BAC and the other procurement services employees, I asked them whether they are the Supreme Court. They said they are not the Supreme Court. Of course, their answer was correct. The Constitution tells of one Supreme Court, which is supposed to be composed of one Chief Justice and 14 members. That is the Supreme Court. I will ask you whether or not there was a resolution approved by the Supreme Court and Bank approving the hiring of Ms. Makasait.
This issue of hiring of Mrs. Makasait, you know, I've not seen him. I don't know her. I'm not very familiar with this issue, Your Honor.
So
I don't even know whether it was even discussed in the court, in the bank. I wouldn't know.
Okay, so Madam Justice De Castro, would you know if there was a resolution in bank approving the hiring of Ms. Makasait?
There was none. I was the chair of the Committee on Computerization, and we never heard about the hiring of Ms. Helen Makasait. It's just that one time she made a presentation, and she was rumored to be the consultant of the Chief Justice. That's all that I think I saw her once, and that was all.
And so, again, Madam, it is correct for this committee to form a conclusion that that particular answer of the Supreme Court Justice is a lie, because there was no resolution that would have approved the hiring of that particular IT consultant. And when she said that it was the Supreme Court who hired her, not only her office, that's quite incorrect, Madam.
That's not true.
Okay.
In fact, we were surprised that she was receiving that big amount of salary, which is higher than our own basic salary.
Because there was no Supreme Court and bank approving that hiring of Makasait, everything else that transpired after that is illegal and irregular, including the renewal of her contract every 6 months, and the salaries that she received from the first time that she was hired as a consultant up to the time that her services were terminated. Everything else in between is irregular, illegal, and not sanctioned by the Supreme Court and bank.
The validity of that contract with it is still pending consideration by the court. We asked Ms. Makasait to give her comment on the question about the legality of hiring a consultant, and also we asked the comment of the BAC.
We are familiar with that, Madam Justice, and I believe the members of the committee of this committee believes that the Supreme Court can dismiss that case separate from the proceedings that we are now holding, because precisely the only reason why we are doing this is only to confirm those statements, those allegations made in the complaint, as well as in connection with the reply or the verified answer of the Chief Justice being the respondent in the complaint in the complaint of our impeachment.
I think you are. I think you're in a position to already make your conclusion based on the documents that you gathered in the course of the hearing, even without the decision of the court on this issue.
Yes, Madam. That is also the impression of this committee, and thank you very much for that opinion.
That's all, Your Honor. Before that, the chair acknowledges the attendance of Representative Binky Noel. So is that all?
If you can still allow a few more questions.
Because Vice Chairman Ominal would like to interject.
Well, I can already wind up the questions more because I'd like to take advantage of the presence of the good justices, especially Justice Castillo, who was presented himself for the first time.
Mr. Chair, my interjection was just to follow through the good point raised by the Honorable Marcolita in relation to the response of Justice Del Castillo that it appears that the predetermination of the brand in the procurement of the Toyota Land Cruiser is irregular. Now, my follow-through question is that this has been approved by the Supreme Court and Bank. Does the approval of the bank cure such irregularity?
Your Honor, before I answer that question, I would the question of Congressman Marcoleta was hypothetical, that it was a predetermined purchase. The brand name Toyota Land Cruiser determined beforehand. I mean, if that's established fact, my answer is yes, that it would seem that there was some irregularity. But I'm not too sure yet about that. That it was a predetermined. There was testimony to the effect, but for instance, as far as I was concerned, when I was going over the rollo, it was not predetermined. While there was the first endorsement letter coming from DCA Bahia referring to a Toyota Land Cruiser, there was a subsequent first endorsement, a first endorsement letter, the following page, which just indicated the technical description. That's why, based on that, I could not tell whether it was predetermined already, because it would seem that, particularly so, that this was what was published in the Philippine Star, the technical description, not the brand name. So, based on that, that was what I forwarded to the bank, and the bank was guided by that. Now, it's coming out now in that it was predetermined. I don't know that. Now, you're saying, again, it would be a hypothetical question again. If you're saying that if it were a predetermined specification, you know, it's speculative, Your Honor. I don't know yet. It has not been established as a fact.
Before that, Honorable Ominal, a while ago, Congressman De Vera approached the chair, and he showed the chair two documents that would exactly clarify what the Honorable Justice Del Castillo is talking about. You may proceed, Honorable De Vera.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With the indulgence of Congressman Ominal and Congressman Marcoleta, Your Honor, may I just give copies to the Honorable Justice Mardes Castillo so that he could appreciate what I'm going to tell him. During the hearings with the Secretariat of the Supreme Court, the Attorney Codana admitted before this committee, upon my questioning, that indeed the purchase of the Land Cruiser was predetermined. In fact, it was she alleges that Attorney Michael Ocampo was the one who gave her the instructions that a Land Cruiser would be bought. Now, I'm showing you some documents to prove my point, Your Honor, please. If you would look at the first set of documents, a 3-page document, Your Honor, when it is said that it is it is a certification of funds to purchase a certain vehicle. Look at it closely. A while ago, you told this honorable committee that under the annual procurement plan of the Supreme Court, you said you put there 6 million pesos to buy an SUV for the Chief Justice. Look at the certification made by the chief accountant and the other officers, it says 5.2 million. That is before the bidding on December 9. That was issued November 25. So meaning to say, the funds that are ready, instead of 6 million, they put it there, the exact amount of a Land Cruiser. And even you look at the probably PhilJeps and even the invitation to bid, the amount there would be for a Land Cruiser, 5.1 million. That is before the bidding. Now, if you would look at that, Your Honor, please, you could easily surmise that is predetermined, and it is for a Land Cruiser. If I would certify that the amounts are available, if I am the chief accountant, if I am the head of the finance department, I would certify that the funds available to buy an SUV would be 6 billion pesos as contained in the annual procurement plan, right? But look at the certification made by the chief accountant and concorded by Attorney Flores. It is said 5.1 million and plus another inflation rate, so it's 5.2 million. That's the first sets of documents, Your Honor, if you may comment on that.
We cannot immediately conclude that this refers to a Land Cruiser. I mean, for a person like me who is not familiar with the pricing of vehicles, I mean, how can I immediately say that this is a Land Cruiser?
Just look at the third page, Your Honor, of the certification. The attachment to the certification of funds, Your Honor. It is indicated there that it is for a Land Cruiser, 5.1 million pesos, and an inflation rate of 3%. The one signed by the chief accountant.
This particular document, Your Honor, I don't know whether this is in the rollo, is it? I did not see this. It's only the certification of availability of funds.
Yes, Your Honor.
So this Land Cruiser, I don't know about.
Yes, that is why I'm bringing it to your attention, Mr. Justice, that there is such things as those documents. And another note, Your Honors, please, look at the two documents which I have furnished you. December 2 document. Read the contents of December 2 document. It is both entitled First Endorsement, signed by a certain Attorney Conanan. What you could see, it is identical, but if you would look at it closely, you're going to find out in the first paragraph, the brand of Toyota Land Cruiser has been indicated, but on this other document, there is no brand, it is generic. So there is some sort of falsification there, because it appears to be identical. So what I'm trying to establish is, Mr. Justice, baka napapalusutan kayo diyan sa NBank. Hindi nyo alam na may ganyan. Palagay ko ang na-present sa inyong endorsement, yung endorsement na walang Land Cruiser. Pero may endorsement dyan, una na tingin kong unang nagawa na may Land Cruiser. And those documents presented to you right now are documents being made or it was executed before the bidding of December 5. Kaya tignan nyo po yan na prior sa bidding, yan na po yung mga dokumento. So I am calling your attention, baka napapalusutan po kayo as far as yung presentation po ng mga bid documents sa inyo para hindi intelligent yung inyong magiging desisyon sa purchase nyo po ng Land Cruiser. Kasi tignan nyo po, prior to bidding, lahat po yan.
As I mentioned earlier, Your Honor, when it comes to administrative matters, we gloss over this. We put more importance to our judicial duties. So normally, when and we also dispose of this as soon as possible. When it reaches us, we just go over this the rollo of this. Titignan namin, meron naman palang. I saw this, yung Land Cruiser endorsement, but I saw also the technical description. Then it complies with the procurement process, and so that's what I did. I just pass it on to the bank. Anyway, ultimately the bank will decide on it.
May I now resume, Mr. Chair?
We were really never informed that that's what I found out only during the testimony here.
Now, Mr. Chair,
was-
I think I can now get into that because, Mr. Justice, that is precisely what I was trying to allude earlier. That there was a previous testimony and there were documents received by this committee pointing to the fact that there was a predetermined intention to buy a Toyota Land Cruiser. This committee does not blame you in any way because you might have not been fed back or fed with the correct documents, and it's only now that you're not trying to see these documents for yourself. These are documents heard before the committee earlier, and now it is established that the Toyota Land Cruiser was a predetermined vehicle before the BAC acted on it. The question I raised earlier to you, now that you know, that you now appreciate the fact that it has been predetermined even before the BAC acted on the request for vehicle. Is it not highly irregular, Mr. Justice, being the head of the...
Before the Honorable Justice answers that, point of information lang po, kanina pa ako medyo kinakabahan dito, baka maraming stray bullets na lalabas dito eh. Article 17 of the Revised Penal Code classifies three principles: by induction, direct participation, indispensable cooperation. Maganda yung sagot ni Honorable Del Castillo na hindi niya alam, meaning wala siyang pakialam doon, direct participation wise, indispensable cooperation wise. On the other hand, yung tanong niya, kasi yung Article 17 na yan, nandun sa Article 10, yung procurement law na natutunan ko kay Majority Leader Fariñas, may mga penal provisions doon. Kaya delikado doon. Anyway, with that, I will really be asking hard questions kay Bahia at saka yung ibang resource persons. You may now answer the question, Honorable Del Castillo.
Your Honor, it will be up to your committee that will have to make this conclusion, Your Honor.
Yeah, and Mr. Chair, we have to repeat that the resource persons invited today are not the subject of the impeachment proceedings. So this impeachment proceedings is directed to the very respondent, the Chief Justice herself. We're only asking their help to determine the probable cause here. That's why we're fielding these questions. We're not trying to lay blame to any of our resource persons, Mr. Chair. Yes, Mr. Justice, I think we are now about to make another formal conclusion that the respondent Chief Justice acquired the vehicle, this luxurious vehicle, not in the proper procedures as required by the rules of the Supreme Court, and more specifically and more importantly, not in congruence with the postulates of the Constitution, wherein the public servants are being asked to live modestly. I happen to note also, Mr. Justice, that the employees of the Supreme Court are also serviced by a shuttle vehicle. Is that correct?
I think they pay, Your Honor. There are shuttle buses that would...
that ferry them from one point to another. This is one of the assistance given by the Supreme Court.
That's my understanding, Your Honor.
Yes. And I gathered that these shuttle vehicles are not in good condition, meaning to say they are so old and dilapidated. And if you if you consider the plight and the convenience of the staff and employees of the Supreme Court, and now we consider the kind of indiscretion that the Chief Justice would like to display as Chief Magistrate of the Supreme Court, giving for herself the best vehicle that she deserved, compared to the plight of the employees of the Supreme Court, whose convenience should also be taken into consideration. Did you know that these vehicles are already in their state of, I would say, disrepair?
I have not really ridden on one, Your Honor. I really wouldn't know the condition right now. But I see them still parked around Paco Park. So I don't know whether they're in that they're unserviceable anymore. I don't know.
Justice Castillo, with your indulgence, because again earlier in the testimonies before this committee, we have invited your colleagues in the court, like Justice De Castro and the others, and we were able to hear cases of or instances where the Chief Justice would seem to violate the internal rules, like in the case of the Maute case, when there was no raffle that was made. This was already admitted by Ms. Anama at the time when she testified. It was taken by the Chief Justice herself. And then the TRO, in the case of another party list, wherein the Justice in charge here is Justice De Castro. The Chief Justice altered the TRO already recommended, or the draft TRO prepared by Justice De Castro, and she did that without even getting her consent. And the RCAO issue in Cebu, the JBC issue, and a lot others, where this committee heard one by one that it seems that the Chief Justice was acting all by herself. Justice Bersamin testified here, Justice Peralta, Justice Martinez, and the former Justice Brion, all of them pointing to a pattern that the Chief Justice is not observing the internal rules of the Supreme Court. One time I asked that your internal rules is the one that operationalize the collegiality of the Supreme Court. And if this collegiality is not observed, this collegiality is not maintained,
before the Honorable Del Castillo answers that question, the Chair recognizes the appearance of Representatives Gonzales and Crisologo, and after that answer, the Honorable Hernandez will be interjecting. And because okay.
May I now continue, Mr. Chair?
Akala ko tapos na. Okay.
Sabi mo kanina, before you answer the question, wala pa nga ho akong tanong eh.
Wala pa. Sige. Go ahead, Your Honor.
Sa dinami-dami po ng mga naisa-isay na mga pangyayari at mga insidente, at nakita po namin sa pagdinig namin na there was exasperation on the part of some of the members of the Supreme Court on how the Chief Justice violated the internal rules. Meron pa nga pong mga pagdinig dito na sinasabing the constitutional transgression of the Chief Justice. Meron pa pong mga salita that the Chief Justice manipulated the rules of the JBC. Ngayon lang po kasi kayo nag-attend, kaya sinasamantala ko na po yung pagkakataon na kung ano naman po ang pansariling damdamin po ninyo, kung sa napakaraming pagkakataon ay yung pong collegiality po ng inyong institusyon na siya naman ang nagiging halimbawa sana ng mabababang mga hukuman sa ating bansa. Kung ganun po yung nangyayari, lumilitaw po kasi na yung impeachment complaint ay talagang hitik po dun sa katotohanan at maraming dapat sasagutin ang ating Chief Justice. Ang tanong ko nga po sa inyo ngayon, kung halimbawa hanapin po ninyo sa damdamin ninyo, ano ang magiging, kung anong masasabi po ninyo kung lalagumin po natin lahat ang mga nangyari na pong naisa-isay na insidente na paglabag?
Your Honor, I'm all for the collegiality of the court. I was listening to the testimony of Justice Brion here before, and he was saying that many of the problems that we've encountered should and must have been resolved in the bank. As to my feelings, Your Honor, I mean my feelings are immaterial, Your Honor. It's up to you to make your own judgment here, Your Honor.
Pati pa nga po yung pagkakahirang sa kay Miss Makasait, ganun din po. Pati na po ngayon pati nga po pala yung Land Cruiser, ganun na rin po yung nangyayari. Parang may napalusutan na po yata kayo. Hindi po yung tama po kayo, hindi naman po yung damdamin ninyo ang importante, kung hindi po yung makapag-formulate kami ng opinion, sapagkat kailangan po namin kasing tapusin yung aming tungkulin bilang paghahanap ng probable cause sa committee ito. At kailangan po namin ang inyong mga testimonies, sapagkat hindi naman po kami makapag-file ng isang impeachment complaint with articles of impeachment nang wala naman pong laman. Ngayon po yung unti-unti naming napagtibay at isa-isa po naming nalikom kung ito'y lalabagin po ng isa sa inyo at nagkataon po na siya pa naman ang ating pinakamataas na maestrado ng Supreme Court, ay sa aming palagay po, ito na po siguro yung pinakamataas na paglabag ng napakaraming tuntunin. Hindi lamang po siguro culpable violation ng Constitution in relation to the collegiality of the Supreme Court, but as a whole, it probably points to the betrayal of public trust. Would you allow us, Mr. Justice, the justification to conclude, after hearing all these incidents, one by one, and substantiated by documents presented by no less than the Secretariat of your own Supreme Court. And probably if we invoke Rule 130 and the rule of evidence, when we talk about similar facts, in creating a pattern that the Chief Justice is deliberately violating the collegiality principle of the Supreme Court, are we in the direction of being able to point a particular direction and for our people to know that the Chief Justice has been violating the internal rules of the Supreme Court, and this not only amounts the culpable violation of the Constitution, but it also amounts to a betrayal of public trust.
Your Honor, as I mentioned earlier, and with your indulgence, I'd rather not.
Okay.
I'll just leave it up to you, Your Honor. I mean, for as long as, I mean, at the end of the day, it's our conscience that will have to prevail here, Your Honor.
Okay, the chair notes that it's already 12 o'clock, and I heard from the chairman that Justice Del Castillo will be leaving by noon. So the chair will just allow one question, and then we will call it, we will suspend the session. The Honorable Del Castillo is willing to appear at the next hearing. Would that be okay, Your Honor?
Yes, sir. That will be okay.
Your classmate is answering for you. Okay.
One question, yes, yeah, of course. Maybe two or
two questions.
Yes,
and then you're saying that you will no longer appear at the next scheduled hearing.
As much as possible, Your Honor.
Okay, so last two questions, please, and then we will have a break. Nang makakain naman itong mga resource persons natin.
Suggest ko lang po para mabilis, tanungin na si Justice yung facts that we want from him, but wag na natin tanungin yung opinion niya dahil hindi naman natin kailangan si Justice Del Castillo to tell us whether we will decide. Alam na po natin nila. So, para po mabilis naman. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor. Congressman Hernandez.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To Justice Del Castillo. Sir, it's a fact that what was submitted to NBank were documents that on the face of the documents, obviously there will be no irregularity, right? Because what they submitted to you are terms of reference in general, acquiring a luxury vehicle, and based on the document, the winning bidder was Makati Toyota. So by looking at the documents, obviously there were no irregularities. And that's understandable why Supreme Court approved it en banc. Now, given the facts, and you've heard, and you've probably been monitoring these hearings, there were admissions from the admin side, and there were documents shown to you that the bidding was predetermined. Obviously, from the price, it's 5.2. It's more than a regular Land Cruiser because it's pearl white. That is additional 100,000. So obviously what was delivered was Toyota and pearl white. And the terms of reference came from Attorney Oliveros indicating Toyota pearl white. And these facts were not known to you. But since these are established facts and testified and admitted by officers from the admin side, you know that there were irregularities. Obviously, that the bidding was predetermined. Now, given all these facts, alam niyo na ho lahat yung nangyari before the bidding and what transpired during the en banc, and hindi naman lahat naging transparent, no? E ngayon, alam niyo nang may problema yung bidding. Given all this, in hindsight, would you have approved this?
First of all, Your Honor, let me just say this also about DCA Telma Bahia. She has been with the court for 39 years. And she's the head of the back. And I don't know of any report questioning her integrity. Let me just say that. And so, when she came out with that report and recommendation, normally we just... That's how we do it. I mean, when we, for instance, also review decisions of Court of Appeals justices or even the RTC judges, tinitignan naman namin ang reputation nito mga ito eh. Sometimes we just give them the benefit of the doubt. Yeah. There's the presumption of regularity, no, in the performance of duties. So now that, I mean, if this is established fact already, what you're saying, I would say that I'm disappointed at the very least.
I mean, that's important because you are now aware of what transpired before the bidding and what transpired and what was the basis of the decision of en banc. Obviously, you give a presumption of regularity because the documents presented to you, wala hong kabahid-bahid ng irregularity yun. Obviously, because they wanted you to approve it. Now, okay na po yung sagot nyo. One last question. I always ask this to all the justices that appeared before this body, that you're coming here upon invitation of Congress. Do you find this like, do you find this as what is being portrayed in the media, that this is undermining the independence of the judiciary?
Your Honor, I adapt the answers of my colleagues in the court. I don't see how it interferes with the judicial independence of the court. Of course, kahit papano masasabi naman din natin na medyo nawala na konting mistake nung justices ng court. We're all here now, nakikita ng buong bayan, ng buong bansa. Maybe it's good, but as far as interfering with our independence, I don't think you're doing this a higher, what you're doing is a higher mandate eh. Nasa constitution yan eh. So, and that's why we all came here.
Out of respect.
Respect for the constitution and for this committee also.
And would you agree with me that since we started the hearing, a lot of mistakes committed in the past have been corrected? And I'll give you an example. Since this survivorship was brought up, the decision has been fast-tracked. And there are no more unilateral decisions by the Chief Justice herself. So she now follows the collegiality. So instead of undermining, in fact, we've done a good, we've done this for the benefit of the Supreme Court.
I wholly agree, Your Honor.
Okay.
Thank you.
We will be having a break for lunch, and then I understand that the Honorable Del Castillo will no longer be invited for the next hearing. Hearing is suspended. We will resume at 1:30.